There is no such thing as the mind, or your mind, or my mind. There's no such thing as thoughts. There's no such thing as your whole belief structure, the framework for which from which you live by. It's all these beliefs that were picked up apparently over your lifetime, which isn't really happening, which never really happened. No one was actually at the center, living a life, gathering all of these belief systems. But it appeared to happen. It appears to be really real, to feel really real. So I'm not exactly sure how the sense of an I forms, but it seems like it can be strengthened by external influences like society. So kind of manipulating how the body functions because there's a sense of ownership of it. I own it. This is my life, and I can create what I want. Or if there's a sense of um, not having control of one's life, then it can appear to be very, very difficult, and the body can be manipulated to be really dysfunctional or really harmful toward itself. I don't know. I'm just making all of that stuff up just to give some context. So it seems like this whole reality of me and all of my belief systems get strengthened over time as the body seems to grow and evolve. And then there can seem to be a deconstruction of it, but not really. It just seems like it gets to a point maybe where it's just too much and you want to mend it, you want to fix it, you want to get away from how miserable, how much suffering, how much burden there seems to be. And then different things can be tried, like self-help or therapy, self-empowerment, spiritual path, non-duality. Um, but it seems like a lot of the spiritual path, let's say, is is created to somehow mend or fix an already made up reality. The made up construct of me and my world and my belief systems. It tries to give an answer to how to relate to thoughts and my emotions, and how to feel better, how to heal, how to become more loving toward myself and others, how to raise my consciousness, which there's no one there. There's no one able to manipulate what we call consciousness. Consciousness is just another idea. It actually can become a really limiting and constricting belief system, where I feel like I can control thoughts, emotions, I can observe them, I can relate to them, I can transform them, I can manipulate them. And it kind of seems like a very small box where the body can feel relieved and then burdened and then relieved, and it struggles, it feels more peaceful, it lost it, it has it. And then all of these stories are attached to it. I lost it because of this. I just didn't try hard enough. I'm getting somewhere. I'm improving. I'm becoming more awake, more enlightened, more conscious. And it can feel really real when you're in your own reality, and all of these belief systems seem to be confirming itself, yet at times it really doesn't work. But you disregard that and say, like, you have to be more devoted. You have to try harder. And it seems so convincing, so convincing. And there is nothing wrong with that. If it seems fun, and then why not continue? But this is just an attempt to describe that is a very small container of a made up reality, of my reality, of I have control over what's going on, even though really no one knows what's going on. No one knows where thoughts are coming from, how they're appearing, what emotions are, how they're appearing. It seems like when all of that dissolves, there's absolutely no need to manipulate anything. It's just what it is. It seems to slow down, like the thoughts in general. Emotions have a very different feel to them. It's not my emotion, it's just an emotion. It's diffused, but at the same time, they're more full on than ever. Because it's just what it is. It's an appearance like everything else, and there's no more containing it or ability to observe it. It's just what it is. It's just there. It's like when all of these constructs and frameworks disappear, then it's seen like everything was already always unbound, free, unknown, uncontainable. You can't make sense of it. It's liberated. It's always been that way, but within this made up reality of you and your life and your belief systems. And a lot of the seeming belief systems, it's hard to really identify them, the deep ones. I don't even know what that means, but like until it dissolves, then it's seen. Then it's seen like, oh, that was there. So no one can become more conscious. No one is there. And even saying like that's becoming more conscious, that's called becoming more aware, is just an idea. It's just a mysterious happening. It's just a mysterious unfolding. That's not really happening. Nothing's actually happening. No one is actually awakening. No one is becoming more aware or enlightened. The sense of me is just going. And when it's gone, then there's nothing. There's nothing appearing as everything. Everything is nothing. Nothing is just full on living. And so obviously all of these belief systems are very unique to any particular body. So it'll be so-called stuck in different ways, in different areas. And, it seems like the more the more wounded that sense of self has been in a certain area, the more constricted it is in that area. So it seems like being really gentle with that in a way is the best way to move through it, because just to deny it doesn't seem like it'll do anything, which is fine. And I don't know that for sure, but and this is just a guess, but it just seems like in general, even if the sense of me doesn't dissolve, which no one can make happen, it just seems intuitively good to be gentle with those aspects that feel really tight and stuck and hurt. And obviously it's not really real. It's within the realm of me and my reality and my belief systems. But that apparent belief system, that specific way of viewing oneself and the world, or what happened to you, what someone did to you, or who you are in this world, like that can seemingly feel more solidified over time because it seems like it was just repeated over and over, and there can be a sense of stuckness. But yeah, kind of being gentle with that I feel like can be a good approach, even though there's no approach to anything, because it's not a real reality. It can just feel very real. It can seem very real. So yeah, sometimes there is like hesitation in describing how this actually is, because it sounds like things have changed, that something did happen, that an actual sense of me dissolved. But one, I just want to describe it because it can be a bit disorienting and difficult as a whole illusory construct of a me starts to crumble. It's not really an easy thing, I don't think. Yeah, and it can just be very confusing for the body. Yeah, I just want to mention that it's like a lot of the dissolving seems to be able to take care of itself and kind of finds its own balance in a way. But at least for here, it was nice to express certain things and to allow the devastation to be expressed. But yeah, it is like nothing actually really happens and nothing actually changes, because the whole effect of the sense of self wasn't there to begin with. It was a total illusion, totally made up. And I don't want that to sound like negative in any way. It's just clear that when there's nothing left, like no person left, um, and it's just nothing, everythinging, empty fullness. Then it's seen that everything else was made up. Everything else was mind made, and there is no mind. It was self created, and there is no self. And it's also just odd talking about this because the self seems to want this, but it doesn't want it because it's the end of itself. And it's already not there, but it feels really real. Its whole framework, its whole projection of me and my life is going to end. And it's not going to be here to enjoy the absence of itself, to enjoy the absolute unknowing of everything, to enjoy this absolute emptiness, this full on aliveness. This vibrancy just is. And it's always been just this. Unfortunately, without that sense of me. So it's not going to get anything. It's not going to achieve anything. It's not going to be here to really celebrate anything. It won't, attain its dreams. It won't get its dreams. It won't achieve its hopes for the future. It won't get anything. I can't emphasize that enough. It's the absolute disappearance of my world, my whole existence that never really was. It's the end. The end. You don't want that. And I also like describing how disturbing and disorienting it can be in the parent transition, where the whole construct of me and my life dissolves, and then all you're left with is more and more nothingness, emptiness. Um, I wanted to describe that because it can feel like a horrific storm before it kind of settles. And like, at least for here, there were kind of some moments where it was odd. Like, there was such a neutrality to everything. There was um, a clear seeing that nothing was actually happening to anyone. This wasn't happening to anyone. And yet it felt so horrific to have this whole life that I thought was mine crumble. And then to have the line of life and death to be so not distinguishable. There was almost no difference. And to have the body be in that much pain and mourning of a life that never was, um, it it was not an easy time, like, at all. And it was nice to have some support by someone who can actually understand without having to explain that much. And yeah, I just want to talk about that openly because yes, nothing actually happens because there was never anyone there to begin with. And yet it can feel so freaking horrible. Yeah. And I don't know this for sure. Like, it does seem like it was really accelerated here, like how quickly everything just fell apart. Um, so it just might not happen that way for everyone. But for those that seem to be going through that, yeah, then it's nice to just have someone say it, that it can feel really shitty. And this sounds like I'm giving some hope, but the storm settles on its own. Because it's clear that when all of that is happening, no one is doing anything. It's all just happening. And it's clear that that is it. No matter what's going on, no matter how shitty the body feels, that's it. It's clear. It's not an understanding. It's like a whole body sense that this is it. And that doesn't mean that, yeah, the body can't be in immense pain and can struggle through that. And sometimes I can really understand why some people just decide to go off into the woods and just not speak about this. I can see why the body would just want to, in a way, rest and not interact. Like that part doesn't necessarily have to do with how horrific it can feel when everything kind of dismantles. But now it seems like there is just kind of a sort of peace. It's not a feeling. It's like there is no need for anything. There's no real wanting of that much, except for the basics of the body, which are very basic. Um, there's not that much worry or concern about things. It just is what it is. It just is. It just is. And again, I share those descriptions at the risk of um, this illusory sense of self becoming even more frightened of its own disappearance. Um, but I mean, it will be taken the way it's taken. Anything that's said, it will be filtered through whatever kind of framework is there. So, yeah, my intention isn't really to scare people. It's just, I think it's just more for those that are going through it, what can seem like a really difficult transition, even though nothing's happening and that whole thing is a story, it's a memory. But I think it's worth talking about. And it's interesting to use words like intention and worth because yeah, there is a saying that nothing has worth. Nothing has more or less worth than anything else. Um, intention sounds like there's someone actually having an intention for something, but it just, there's no one behind anything. But yeah, those words are just said and they're just words. Again, everything will just be interpreted the way it's going to be interpreted, and there's no control in how it will be heard